I was pressed against the car window of a man who wasn't my husband, moaning his name with my wedding ring still on. And while I was betraying everything I once held sacred, my husband was home making dinner for our kids, folding laundry, lighting my favorite candle so the house would smell like lavender when I got back. Each time, I told myself it would be the last. But I always crawled back to him, a man who cost me my husband, my family, my soul. And the worst part? I knew better. I wasn't that woman I still dream about the night we first met. It was a bookstore. I was standing in the corner aisle, scanning for a copy of The Great Gatsby for a class I was taking in my last year of college. He reached for the same book at the exact moment I did, and our hands touched. It was cliché, I know, but it felt like something out of a story. I laughed awkwardly and said, "You take it, I'm just procrastinating." And he smiled that soft, careful smile of his and said, "No, it's okay. Ladies first." He ended up asking me out right there between the classics and the self-help section. Daniel, that was his name. He was tall, thoughtful, not the loudest guy in the room, but the one who watched everything, remembered everything. Our first date was coffee, which turned into dinner, which turned into talking until 2 a.m. in his car under a streetlight. I remember how he kept brushing his thumb along the steering wheel, nervous but trying to act cool. I remember thinking, I could love this man. And I did. God, I did. I loved him the way you love something slow and warm and permanent. Like a home-cooked meal. Like a sunrise you can count on. He made me feel like I mattered. Not just pretty, not just interesting, but important. He would remember little things. The way I took my tea, the exact spot I scratched my neck when I was nervous, the songs I skipped, and the ones I played twice. He saw me before I saw myself. We dated for 2 years. Then he proposed during a weekend, getaway in a mountain cabin. He lit a fire, cooked pasta badly, and proposed while I was wearing mismatched socks and his hoodie. I said yes while crying and laughing, wine glass shaking in my hand. I was the happiest woman in the world. Our wedding was small. Family, a few friends, string lights, an acoustic guitar. I walked down the aisle barefoot because my heels broke last minute. He looked at me like I was a miracle. And for a long time, we were a miracle. The kind people envy. The kind I used to look at and wonder if it was even real. We bought a little house with peeling paint and a crooked porch swing. We spent Saturdays planting flowers, painting walls, bickering about backsplash tiles. It was us. Messy and funny and real. I still remember dancing in the kitchen in our pajamas, brushing our teeth side by side like kids, sneaking into the shower together before work, just to steal a moment. When I found out I was pregnant, he lifted me off the floor and spun me around like a movie scene. He read every book, downloaded every app, rubbed my feet, talked to my belly. Clara came first. She had his eyes and my nose. Then Jamie came 2 years later, born with a head full of dark hair and lungs strong enough to scare the neighbors. Daniel was everything. He didn't just show up, he lived for us. He took late-night feedings. He packed lunch boxes. He learned how to braid Clara's hair. He once drove to 3 stores because Jamie wanted a green dinosaur cup. When I cried from exhaustion, he held me and said, "You're doing amazing." When I forgot our anniversary, he surprised me with breakfast in bed and said, "It's okay. You never forget the important things." He was the one who handled all the invisible labor. Groceries, bills, doctor appointments. He was the calm voice during emergencies, the steady presence in every storm. He kissed my forehead every morning before work. He texted me reminders to drink water. He told me I was beautiful when I felt like a fraying rope barely holding our life together. So how did I end up here? I wish I could blame something. A fight, a betrayal, a trauma. But there was none of that. There was just a slow fading of something inside me. Somewhere between the diapers and deadlines, I stopped recognizing myself. I became a wife, a mother, a scheduler. People asked about Clara's grades and Jamie's allergies, not about me. Not about my thoughts or fears or dreams. I felt invisible in a life that looked perfect from the outside. And then Marcus came back in my life. I'd known him from college. We were never anything serious, just harmless flirtation. He was charismatic, reckless, magnetic in a way that made you want to lean in just a little closer than you should. I ran into him at a corporate mixer. He was in a suit, drinking bourbon, surrounded by people laughing too hard at his jokes. He saw me, and that smile hit me like a punch. "Still the prettiest girl in the room," he said, like no time had passed. We exchanged numbers under the pretense of networking. At first it was work-related, questions, advice, catching up. Then it became jokes, memories, compliments. He asked if I was happy. I said, "Of course." But it was the first time someone had asked in a long, long time. The first time I cheated. It wasn't planned, that's what I told myself. But looking back, I think I wanted to fall. I was dressed up for a work dinner. He was there. I'd curled my hair, put on lipstick I hadn't worn in months. And when he said, "You look dangerous," I didn't correct him. I smiled. We shared a cab back to the hotel. He couldn't keep his hands off me the entire ride. I never stopped him. I let it happen. I remember the silence in the elevator, the electricity, how close he stood behind me. I could feel his breath on my neck. When the doors opened, I followed him. I didn't even hesitate. The room was dimly lit, cold, sterile, nothing like home. He kissed me like I was a secret, and I let him. His hands were rough. The window was fogged from our breath and bodies. I felt heat and shame and adrenaline and guilt all tangled together. I remember hearing the faint buzzing of my phone in my purse, Daniel's name lighting up. I didn't answer. I told myself I was still in control, that this would be the first and last. But the second I walked into our house, the smell of lavender hit me. He'd lit my candle. He had the table set, pasta, bread. He'd even grated cheese on top and cleaned up the kitchen. The kids were asleep. He kissed my cheek and said, "You're home early. I missed you." I nodded, put my bag down, and went to the bathroom to cry silently for 10 minutes. The next morning, I ended it with Marcus, sent the message through, trembling fingers. "I can't do this. I love my husband. Please don't contact me again." He respected it. For a while. Then a message came late one night. "Just thinking about you." I deleted it. Then another. "Wish I could kiss you again." And I broke. Because something in me craved the chaos, the danger, the feeling of being wanted in a way that had nothing to do with responsibility. And so it continued. Again. And again. Each time I ended it. Each time I ran back. I was living two lives, mother by day, liar by night. I'd meet him in hotel rooms, car seats, quiet alleyways. He'd touch me like a secret, and I'd let him erase my guilt for a few fleeting minutes. Meanwhile, Daniel was planning date nights, buying flowers, helping Clara with her school project, tucking Jamie in with his stuffed elephant, and a kiss on the forehead. He once looked at me over dinner and said, "You've seemed a little tired lately. I can take the kids this weekend if you need time." And I told him that would help so much. I ended up in the back seat of Marcus's car, face pressed against the window. I wasn't this woman, but I couldn't stop. I don't even know how he found out. Not that it matters anymore anyway. I came home one afternoon, and his car was in the driveway, but the lights were off. I walked in, calling his name, and saw him sitting on the floor of our bedroom. My laptop was open beside him. He'd seen the messages, the hotel confirmations. The photos in the deleted folder I forgot to empty. He didn't shout. He didn't ask a single question. He just said, "You let me love you through all this." That cut deeper than anything. He packed that night, quietly, methodically. He left, our wedding ring on the table. He took the kids to his sister's. He texted me later. "I'm filing. I'll ask for full custody. You'll hear from my lawyer." I didn't fight. How could I? By the end of the week, the house was empty. The toys, the laughter, the life. Gone. Clara refuses to speak to me. Jamie cried and asked why Daddy took them away. I had no answer that wouldn't poison his heart. I see them on social media sometimes. Happy, smiling. Daniel's hair is a little grayer now. Clara's getting tall. Jamie just lost his front teeth. And me? I sit in a one-bedroom apartment where the silence echoes. I eat dinner over the sink. I sleep with the TV on because the quiet sounds like guilt. Sometimes Marcus still texts. I never reply. He took my family from me. If he never came back in my life, I'd still have my husband. I broke the man who built a life for me, and I lost everything worth having. All for a thrill I don't even remember clearly anymore. But I remember the look on Daniel's face when he said, "You were supposed to be my forever," and I live with that every single day.